Hello, good evening, and welcome to PM Express, another edition. Tonight we will be discussing the Melcom disaster. Now, as rescue efforts frantically continue, Israel sends a team of experts to fish out people who might be defying death under the Melcom rubble. Information we have is also that some of those who are dead are beginning to decompose. An environmental disaster in the waiting. BNI equally questions 3 persons accused of negligence, while a geospatial expert is cautioning against high-rise buildings in Accra. Now, as this flurry of activities go on, one thing has emerged tops. The collapsed building lacked a permit, yet it was completed as a 5-story. And in a typical Ghanaian fashion, the president is now calling for heads to roll, while the populace is pushing for AMA boss Alfred Okovandapoy to resign. The verdict? Simple: negligence. Now, tonight, we'll tease out the safety issues with the intent of finding a way to keep us all safe. You can join us via text 1760 or post your contributions, opinions, and comments, suggestions on facebook.com/multi-TV-world. My guest tonight, I have right on my left-hand side here, Kofi Potufe, who is the NADMO National Coordinator. I also have next to him Nana Ano Amihia, who is a safety expert and the Executive Director of Safety Training Academy. Gentlemen, it's great to have you here in our studios.
Thank you.
Some have described this incident as a very bad one in the history of our country. You both agree, right?
Yes, we do.
Mr. Potiphar, may I ask you, should this have happened?
No, it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened because we have rules and regulations for development of our cities and communities. And if we all should go by those rules, this should not happen.
Unenforceable rules and regulations?
Yes, and the recalcitrance of developments. I mean, people who have money, and so they don't care a hoot about safety. They don't care a hoot about what happens to the rest of us.
They can beat the system easily.
Yes.
Should it be so?
It shouldn't be so, you know. And it's a challenge for our country, you know, as a developing country where people are making quick and fast money and they are investing in development and they're not willing to comply with the rules and regulations. We go through experiences like this. This is not the first time a building has collapsed in this country. I recall that in 2000, one such 3-story building collapsed in Medina, my heart. We're fortunate they hadn't completed it and there were no occupants and so on. And, you know, in Accra, this particular one had not completely been dealt with. It's not been finished. We're told there were some tile layers and carpenters and so on the 5th floor or 4th floor, something, and this happened, you know. And so it behoves on all of us, property owners, people who rent premises, to also contribute to making the occupancy safety, you know, very safe. Because if you are renting a house, we should now encourage people to find out whether the house is safe, the building is safe. You know, we have talked about safe houses, safer communities, and so on. We're talking about building resilience in our communities so that people who live in the communities will know exactly what to do when they are exposed to danger. They will be the first to recognize that this is dangerous. I don't have to occupy it, you know. But particularly when we have a structure decorated as beautifully as this has been dealt with, you know, the next structure where Fidelity Bank occupies is also similarly decorated very beautifully, and you go for it and you don't know what has happened to the structure, you know. We in NADMO have undertaken some public education in the past. We recognize that our building codes are not up to date. and the Ministry of Water Resources, Works and Housing has been
Is that all you do, public education?
We do public education, but we don't have the powers to enforce. And so we are seeking enforcement powers with the new bill that is in Parliament now, you know. And because we don't have the enforcement powers, it's difficult for NADMO, you know. The enforcement powers are with the Ministry of Local Government.
Right, Mr. Potford, we'll drift into that area later on in our discussion. But give us an update on, a status update on the situation currently at the place. What information have you gathered?
Well, we were informed. We manage the National Emergency Operations Center. And our collaborators are all the agencies, public or private, and non-governmental, that have something to do with safety, rescue in this country, you know. And we have a national platform where the technical committee members plan to reduce disaster risk.
So, I mean, specifically in relation to the Melcom disaster situation, what have they been telling you? What have you gathered?
Yes, so
do you have any?
When we were informed about this collapse, we quickly activated our emergency plan and was to inform our partners, the Ghana Armed Forces, the Ghana Police, the National Ambulance Service, that played a very big role in this rescue effort. You know, it's never been like that before. And then the other agencies like the National Security, the NGOs like St. John's Ambulance and so on. Then we also involved the Metropolitan Assembly itself, and you know, we all got to the scene. In fact, the NADMO Urban Search and Rescue teams were the first to get to the place, and because it was the center of town, Achimota, and it was a rush hour, people were going to work and so on, it attracted a lot of people suddenly. So it made our initial operations very difficult, because every passerby will want to come close and look at what has happened, notwithstanding the fact that they were not sure whether there was an explosion and anything could happen.
So what's the latest information from the ground?
So the latest information is that we have rescued 75 of our countrymen and women who were trapped in the rubble. We have, with the support of the National Ambulance Service, sent 13 male to the 37 military hospital and 3 female, and they are currently on admission in the hospital. We have 7 male and 7 female treated and discharged from 37 military hospital. And we have 7 dead in the morgue in 37 now. And out of the 7, 4 are male, 3 are female. So you see, we have a total of about 37 of our countrymen rescued, evacuated to 37 military hospital. Kolebo Teaching Hospital has 3 of them on admission now. 1 is a male, and 2 are female. And they also treated and discharged 1 person from Kolebo Teaching Hospital. We have not recorded any deaths in Kolebo Teaching Hospital. In Achimota Hospital, we have 2 male, 2 females still on admission, and 25 of them were treated and discharged as at today. The total number was sent to Achimota Hospital is 29.
Right. I'll come to you, Nana Ano Amehia, a while later to walk us through some of the safety issues we should have seen before this disaster happened. But I'll go on the phone line right now, and speak to John Ejediodu, who is a director of the Geological Survey Department. Good evening, sir, and thanks for joining us here on PM Express.
Thank you very much.
So tell me, what information have you gathered so far about the cause of the disaster at the Melcom Achimota branch?
Right. Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to send my condolences to the bereaved family, and especially those who perished in this unfortunate incident. We are a department or an institution which provides data to many organizations, including NADMO. And for such an incident to happen, we could have attributed it to a natural disaster, assuming that there was a tremor or there was an earthquake. And the second aspect is probably a failure of the structure due to probably structural defects or the quality of work done. So let us start with the natural disaster point. Now we have all our stations working. We put in our system and they are recording, and we are using digital telemetry, which we've just started operating in Achimota Forest area. So far, we've not registered any quake, any vibration, or a tremor, and therefore that first variant falls out totally.
So, I mean, let me get a clearer understanding. So, this scenario you've just described means that there could have been the possibility that this building collapsed as a result of tremor, which was perhaps not visible to ordinary people?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
I am saying that the building could have collapsed as a result of a quake or a tremor.
Okay.
Or the second variant as a failure of the structure due to construction reasons.
Okay.
But the first reason falls out flatly because we have not recorded any local earthquake or tremor within that stipulated period.
Okay.
And therefore, we cannot attribute it to any earth movement or any earth movement which is accompanied with a very strong motion. If that had happened, it is not that only that building which could have suffered, the series of many of them, and then we could have attributed it to the first reason being a quake or something of that sort. Today we send our experts to the place. We look at our recordings, and we've not recorded anything of that nature, and therefore there is the possibility of attributing the collapse of the building to structural defects. And for this point, we are not the experts. The ESL people are there, the PWD people are there, the other consultants are there.
Okay. All right.
This is exactly what I can say.
That's fine.
So the first point falls out flatly.
Okay. So we'll keep you on the line, and then later on in the discussion, we'll come back to you when we have to raise other issues with you. Thank you very much, John Jodu. And so back to the studio, let me come to you, Nana Anoami here. Safety. Yes. For you, your main concern will be safety. Yes. For a structure of that nature, were you privileged to have seen that structure before the collapse?
Unfortunately
not. Right.
But initial indications, you see, in Ghana here, Mr. Potofi was talking earlier that it doesn't have a teeth to bite. But it seems that we have all the laws, the fine laws to protect us. But the missing link is enforcement. Mm. Now, what comes to mind immediately when we look at the MelcomDisaster? What comes to mind is, you see, in Ghana, we have a penchant of switching use of buildings without going through the proper procedures.
Yeah.
Now, I just on top of my head, we say that that building was not purposely designed as a shopping mall. It was not purposefully designed as a shopping mall. I can see that it was designed as an office building. Now, to switch it from an office building to a shopping mall, a lot of things happen there. The dynamics completely changes.
What could have been done then? I mean, if it was
let me
designed
explain.
for office complex.
If it was designed for office complex, of course, we are going to accommodate human beings. The load of human beings will be taken into consideration by the structural engineers. Okay? Now, furniture that will be brought in will also be calculated by the structural engineer. Now, when you switch it to become a shopping mall, now you're increasing the number of occupants or the live load that the structural engineer would have calculated in terms of the structure that he has designed. Now, if you have staff going into the building, you probably factored in 100 people or 100 occupants in that building at any particular time. Now, when you change the use from office to shopping mall, you're going to have additional loading on the building. You're going to bring in the staff, you're going to bring in those shoppers who will come in to shop, then you're going to bring goods into the building. So if the engineer factored in, let's say 5 tons additional live load into the building, now it will change to tenfold. And you don't know at any particular time, material time, you don't know how many people are going to go into the building. And you have something called point loading. If I have my residential building, property, the architect or the structural engineers know that at any point in time, I cannot bring in more than 100 people into that building. So they design and they factor in that loading. But the moment I bring 1,000 people into that building, we've totally changed the dynamics. And that could have been the reason why that building buckled under. And we call it pancake collapse. And that is what, from the outside, I haven't had the opportunity to go closer, as probably Mr. Potofi has done. But from the outside, that's what I can see. That pancake collapse is as a result of 2 additional life load that was brought into the building. And that is what I could say from a distance.
You could say from a distance. Wow.
But as a matter of fact, our engineers called it pancake collapse.
Well,
and it was
I've not seen
attributed to poor structure design. And if you went there, you see that the iron rods were inadequate. They were not properly joined. And they just gave up. They just separated from each other. The columns, the round columns, very huge columns, just fell on their own. And the beams also just got packed on top of each other. It's
right. I'll take a break from this discussion, and I'll have you gentlemen to take a watch at a story. We'll discuss it later. A story exclusive to Joy News and Multi TV. So let's take a look.
At Tamrahia, a suburb of Adenta in the Greater Accra region, stands this 5-story building with hanging concrete pillars and iron rods. These stone tiles are also being used to cover up the weak-looking blocks used for the building to deceive prospective tenants and authorities. According to authorities, it was a twin building, but one of them collapsed about 5 months ago, and the owner was notified to stop construction at the site, but work is still ongoing. Instead of halting construction, makeshift pillars have been constructed to hold the remaining building, which experts say is even more dangerous.
The first one did not stand. It means the structurally is no good. You don't need anybody to tell you that when you look at even the quality of the material that they use for the construction, it's a suspect. So when you look at that one from first hand, before you can carry it through any scientific research, basically you know that the material is of poor standard.
Resident engineer of the Adenta Municipal Assembly, Victor Mensah, told Joy News all efforts to meet with the owner to find a way forward has proved futile.
To no avail, the owner of the property did not respond. We have several requests for him to come and assist us to know. Unfortunately, some time ago, one of the listing came down, which we came here again. We wrote on the walls, we gave sermons. The property owner failed to show up. After persistent listing, we thought there's a need. That's why we informed the police to come and assist us to get the people, so that we can get the owner of the property owner to assist us in our investigation.
The police did not get easy access to the premises when they got there at 9 a.m. Thursday morning and had to call for reinforcements.
So I did tell my crime officer and the task force team. When they got to the place, they refused to open them. They knocked. Nobody was responding. They have to scale over the wall and enter the yard. When they got to the yard, they met 3 guys who were working inside the yard on the collapsed building. So which you can see, you've been to the scene. So they were brought.
DSP Stephen Kofi-Ahiatafu said they are going to hand over the arrested men to the assembly to take the necessary action against them. Some members of the owner's family who were at the scene said the man in question is on admission in the hospital, hence his inability to meet with the building engineers when asked to.
This is danger looming. What's your comments on what we've just seen, Mr. Potife?
It's very bad. We've been there. We've issued notices and invited the property owner. He never came. But you see, like I'm saying, we don't have the enforcement powers. It's the local assembly, the Adinta Municipal Assembly that has the powers. And so they have been pursuing it. And look at it, even the police. I mean, they can't find the man. They find their relatives. But if we had enforcement powers, we could go and immediately pull that building down. There are many of such buildings in this city. There are many on waterways in this city. And if you go to Jowlu Junction, you find, 3-4-story buildings sitting on pools of water. The ground floor is full of, it's bad. Some of the cases went to court. The Jowlu Junction one.
What have you done about these things?
They went to court to seek justice, the assembly. And the judge, he placed an injunction on the assembly. The judge. They tried to invite the judge to come to Jowlu Junction to see the danger. She wouldn't come. And the junction has been hanging and the guy has completed the structure. We look so powerless when we don't have the enforcement powers. So we've taken the initiative. Our ministry has approved our quest for enforcement powers. The cabinet has approved.
We're always
it,
coming up with excuses why we cannot enforce specific laws. NADMO could garner political support in order to make sure that the necessary enforcements are in place. Why haven't you been able to do that? That's
why I'm saying we are looking for, it's democracy, law and order. So we've gone to cabinet, they have approved it, we've got the political support, and we've gone to parliament. If parliament returns into session, the new NADMO law would have seen the light of day. And maybe
let me go back onto the phone lines again to John Ejeboedu, Director of the Geological Survey Department. I reckon you may have listened to the story we ran earlier.
Yes.
And for you, what would be your thought, your initial thought from where you stand on this looming danger?
Thank you, sir. The whole thing is that, though I said that there had not been any strong motion detected or any vibrations as a result of an earthquake or a tremble, nevertheless, there can also be another reason. The foundation. Was the place still up? Was the foundation giving way? What caused the foundation to give way? That is why we have been advising that when we are putting any building, 2-3-story building, conduct a foundation investigation. Because you cannot see with your naked eye what is beyond the subsurface geology. If it has been carried out, the story would have been different. The building is standing on the ground. And what is the condition of the ground? Let me give you an example. In 1989, we conducted a foundation investigation for UNDP building. That's the Rangoon Avenue. Just at the southern part, We drilled almost 80 feet. There was no rock. We moved 20 meters and carried out in the investigation. And there's solid quartzitic sandstone. And therefore, we advise that push the building 30 meters northward. You can check. It's just near the former chaplain general, Colonel Jonkia building or the bungalow. And that building is still standing there. So sometimes thinking a little bit of money to carry out an investigation will help you and help everybody and avoid such a
but can you just, you know,
now,
by your own personal
yes,
volition
now,
decide that you will do any such thing? Should you not be compelled by law?
Well, that one, as a department, we have no mandate. Ours is to advise you. Ours is to tell you what to do if you approach it. Ours is to give you data. Ours is to give you maps. But you cannot arrest, you cannot enforce, you cannot do anything. So it is in your own safety. For your own safety, you should be able to do that. And you have been talking about it. NADMO, the local agencies have been trumpeting on this. So that is the little you can do. But nevertheless, let me bring this point. You see, all those buildings around that place, the storage building, what we can do is that we have to carry out a geophysical investigation of the whole area, and then probably be able to get that subsurface geology, the condition of the stones or the rocks. The reason is that now, as a result of that impact, the place must have been disturbed. So if we had done it earlier before the construction of those buildings, then the natural state could have been found. Now, it may not be possible.
Right, Mr. Jejodu, quickly, I want to move it up a bit. I mean, when we look at the Melcom building, I mean, from your expertise, how could that building have just come down like that? How long would it have been, would it have taken to come down? Was it instant? Was it ongoing? Could it have taken days to begin to crumble and break down until that point? What is it really?
You see, anything standing on earth can come down. Anything is like a ship on the sea. It can sink at any time. But I believe that if they have been very watchful, this thing could have started with cracks on either one, on the foundations, on the ground floor, or nearby. You could see that there's something like a fault, a micro fault, a small fault, or that's what I would say, a small fault now penetrating or passing through the building. You could see that the pillars will be giving way gradually. They should have looked at some of these things. And I think either one, they gloss over them or that's what, because the building couldn't have come down like that without any signs, earlier signs.
Right.
I don't believe so.
Right. Thank you very much, John A.J.
Pleasure.
Dudu, and we are grateful for your time. We'll take a quick break and we'll return to the studio for more discussions. Don't go away. Welcome back to PM Express, and we're discussing the Melcom disaster. And earlier you saw the story which we captured from Amra here. And so, Mr. Ano, that story, we didn't finish discussing your point of view about the safety concerns for that particular one. What do you see about that particular structure? The one in Amra here. Then we'll make a reference to the Melcom one.
That structure, there's a lot wrong with that structure. That structure must come down by close of tomorrow. It shouldn't even see the living daylight of beyond tomorrow. Okay, there are so many things that you can see wrong. The stanchions, the cracks, and then the building is virtually tilted. So why should that building see a living daylight past tomorrow? It shouldn't. Don't we see? We are a country now. Increasingly, our laws are becoming symbolic because the enforcing agency are not doing their work at all. But I don't want to. It's a national radio. I don't want to national TV. I don't want to be an alarmist, because if you go out there and see buildings that they've written on them, stop work, produce permit, and every day you see the building mushrooming, and yet you have the stop work, produce permit. What are the building inspectorate? What are they doing? They are in the community. They are in the assembly. They don't live at they are not at NADMO headquarters. This business of bringing NADMO in and all those things, NADMO is way above that. Let's bring it down to basics. What happened to the building? This whole situation.
And what is the basics?
The basics is how the processes you go through to put up even a residential accommodation, not to talk about commercial property. The basics, you see an architect, then architect will give you design drawings. Then you go to the next stage. You must have a structural engineering
to certify that.
To certify that. And the permit system demands that you must not only the architectural, but you must have the structural designs. Then you move on. Then they take your designs and your drawings and everything to a technical meeting where you have the town and country planning people, you have all the experts there to look at your structural drawings and certify it before you then go to the site to go and even
start excavation.
Cut a sod to start excavation. And that the process never ends there. Then you have the building inspectorate, who is their duty to make sure that the processes that you're going through or what you have put on paper that I will do A, Y, Z is pursued to the letter. Even to the point, if they really want to do their work, the materials that you're using, you must have samples to give to the building inspectorate for them to certify that, yes, you're using
this
the right
appears to be very cumbersome. Perhaps is the reason why a lot of people will be evading that process in order to get their structures erected quickly.
It ensures safety.
Stephen, it's not, see, we don't care about safety.
Yes, it ensures safety.
Look, if you really, people think safety is expensive. Then they try this accident. What are we seeing now? Now we have a whole president cutting his electioneering campaign short to fly down to Accra. Do you know the cost to the state? Do you know, I mean, what is going on? If you can't quantify it, the loss of life, one life, you cannot quantify it in terms of the loss to the state. So are we going to look on all the time? Look, you were talking about the danger looming. That, what you see there, is nothing. If I tell you some of the hidden death traps, that because we are involved in safety, okay, Safety Ghana, primary objective.
Walk us through some of those ones so
I'll
that
tell
we
you
will
some
make
of those things that
comparisons
if you,
with the MelcomDisaster.
Some of those.
I mean, yeah, some of the ones you've seen,
yes,
so that we will make comparisons.
Let's come to the road, because I have a lot of passion for the road, because the road is taking 2,500 of Ghanaians, loved ones, husbands, ministers' children, you name it, it cuts across. Safety does not, accident does not discriminate, whether it's Mr. Potofi or it's Nana or is this. It can take you anytime. So that is why I have the passion for safety when I'm talking safety. Let me tell you one that is looming, that, Stephen, is a hidden death trap that you will not see visibly. Look, we have our ceremonial road from Shangri-La going down to Movenpick, or let me say Afrikiko.
Yeah.
That road has become a death trap for about 3 years.
Why?
And nobody, our engineers, the urban roads, they know it, and they're not telling us. Look, for me, they're waiting for a high-profile road crash to happen, and then we'll have a Melcom on our hands. Do you know the reason why I have that premonition that there's something going to happen? This is our ceremonial road. We have visiting head of state, we have our president, they ply the road all the time, and when they are on that road, because they have to, it's a high speed, the presidency, when they're moving high speed. If it rains, okay, and the presidency is moving on that road, I'm not, it could be anybody. I mean, I'm not trying to personalize it. And it had rained, and aquaplane, the aquaplane I was playing, because the asphalt on the road, the air void in them, that will make it flexible so that when you compress it, it bounced back to its form, normal formation, has expired. So if you look, I don't know whether you ply that road.
I do.
Now, look at from Afrikiko, the traffic light, and you find them mostly at the traffic lights. Afrikiko traffic lights, you find that there are some rut, we call them rutting, R-U-T, rut. It means that there have been grooves there because of the compression, because the asphalt could not expand and
come back, return to its original form.
So it had created grooves. And those grooves, when it rains and water form in that grooves, and you're applying on that road and you want to brake, your tire cannot grip the road. So then it's like you are on ice rink. So you have no brakes at all. So Stephen, if you're applying on that road and it's rained, do not go beyond 20 kilometers an hour, because that is a danger that is lurking to take some high-profile life. Then we'll start shifting the focus from Melcom, and then we'll start talking about the high-profile crash that has happened on the Afrikiko Road. But the urban roads, who are charged to look after the road, that road, they know about it.
So it means that our problems don't only end with structural designs for buildings,
it's the flavor of the month.
Roads,
Stephen,
everything.
At the moment, it's the flavor of the
Where
month.
can we begin to find the
Now,
solutions?
The solutions is what Safety Ghana has issues. The slogan is issues affecting Ghana's safety. Safety is a collective responsibility of all of us. And it's not only Mr. Potofi who is charged to be NADMO, Mr. this or that, or Nana Anwami here. It's the responsibility of all of us. Until we start thinking that way, we're in big trouble. Big trouble. We see so many things. Look, this, we did a safety exhibition. This is something that is here. We highlighted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 areas.
Mining safety, construction, transport safety, public safety and law, among others, environmental safety.
Look at Galamsey. What is going on in Galamsey? Look at what construction safety. This thing, 3 men sustained various degrees of injury when a shopping mall under construction around Kisama village at Achimota collapsed on them. We put it out there, but the media, you're not interested in this because it doesn't put money in your pocket.
We covered this actively.
No, but this didn't come to your headlines. But this is what has, because of this, that's what has happened at Melcom, and now is headlines. It's gone everywhere. That's why we are not talking about it. But this, we highlighted it. Not a single media house picked it up. But these are the issues that Safety Ghana are bringing out to the public domain. So if we discuss them and the public become aware.
So your solution is that we should discuss them.
The
public should be aware.
To the doorstep.
Everyone should know that safety is their responsibility.
Collective
as
responsibility,
well.
yes.
Mr. Potofe, tell me, this when this happened and your men went to the ground, did it strike you immediately that this is an overwhelming situation, and in the event there is a situation worse, like an earth tremor, could you have had the capability to attend to it?
Thank you very much. That's the biggest challenge. If we are in an earthquake, for advanced civilization, they are always challenged when things like that happen. And we certainly would have faced the challenge. But you know, when we got to the place and we set up our incident command system and we set up our operation directives to move, and all our partners were engaging, doing exactly what they should do, we reckoned that we needed the appropriate equipment. And I was overwhelmed because various companies, without prompting them, engineers and planners, Transaco, Mechanical Lloyd, I mean, they quickly just gave us the equipment that we needed. Now, if you go there, we're working right now there, and we have the necessary equipment, we have lights, and we are picking the slabs, the beams, so we can get where we should and make sure that we don't leave anybody buried there. You see what I'm saying? But initially, to provide safety for survivors in that structure, we had to open up air windows. We had to pump oxygen into the structure, you know, and we had to take the risk of going into it. Well, it could have collapsed on any of us. the rescue persons. And some of them distinguished themselves. They're very brave. They rescued all the 75 people from beneath that rubble. You see what I'm saying? But we know that rescue, we have trained teams, and they have done so well. Within these 24 hours, we have rescued 75 people from that structure. That looks a pancake collapse. I mean, you don't see how you're going to go into it.
When you say pancake collapse, maybe we should get a fairer understanding of what that means. What does it mean?
No, it's just big words. It's just that the thing is buckled down. I mean, coming from the top down. It did not collapse sideways or didn't tilt either way. It just came down.
That is a dangerous one, right?
Yes, that's
in fact, all the beams packed over each other. All the beams. And then the pillars, the columns, the pillars, they just give way. You know?
So it basically sank. Now, I think basically one of the challenges that I saw the time when crowd control became a major challenge. Because for me, Mr. Potrophy's outfit, the first thing that when situations like this happen is to seize the airwaves. They seize the airwaves and they have the PRO people controlling the airwaves, giving out information that this situation has happened, everybody should remain calm, the police is in control, then they block all the streets and the roads and the traffic leading to the place and totally cordon off the place. But what did you hear? You hear Peace FM announcing that this has happened. People who have bulldozers, who have, what do you call it, these machines, bring them down, excavators, bring them down to Melcom. This Joy FM is doing its own broadcast. That was adding to the problem, because when situations like this happen, you need to secure the place.
But we also needed to inform our audience
about
what was happening.
That's where NADMO should do the information, should be should coordinate. That's why we have the NADMO as a coordinating agency, who should coordinate all the emergency services. Everything to do with it should be the responsibility of NADMO, but not everyone jointly and severally doing their own coordination and that was adding to the situation. Do you see the amount of people, the number of people who trooped up there?
I agree. That is what it should be. You know, but it was a challenge. It's the morning, it's the rush hour, and a lot of workers were commuting. People coming from outside Accra, Kumasi, Kufoda. You can imagine they were all just stopping, and we had it tough when the police arrived to cordon off the place. I was comparing that situation to the plane crash recently. When the plane crashed, our rescue teams, the urban search and rescue teams, were the first to get to the place. We cordoned off the place. The military police were the next to come. The fire service was there. And we made it difficult for civilians to come close to the scene. Even the press. They were shouting my name and saying, Mr. Potrophy, allow us to come there. I refused. We did not allow them until we identified the dead, collected them, and evacuated the place. And we did a press briefing for them. Some were even covering us live, you know. But this situation particularly has taught us a lesson.
Yes, yeah, it's a wake-up call, Mr. Potrophy.
It's a lesson for us.
Do we really have emergency wardens? We as a country, do we have emergency wardens who will be there knowing what to do?
It does appear that we will keep blaming one person or the other. When I spoke to Mr. Ejejodu, he told me that they don't have the mandate. We don't know who has the mandate. Who has the mandate to ensure that high-rising buildings, for example, meet appropriate safety standards?
The Assembly.
The district assembly.
The district assembly. That's what I went through with you.
So that's why you have been calling for the Accra Mayor's head to roll.
Well, not me alone. I'm not know if he really believes that it's his responsibility, because the chain of responsibility, if you are the head, the boss, and your subordinates go and do something in your name, you take the flak. And then I hear he came on air to say that, oh, but that building doesn't have a permit. The moment he admitted that building doesn't have a permit, he should resign his job. Because that's a failure. He's failed totally.
But how could such a building not have a permit? Mr. Potrophy,
it's common.
How could it?
Then his
so when the building was springing up, nobody saw it?
I'm sure they wrote stop work produce permit.
They said, we were told there that the building inspectors were there, but the contractor pulled out a gun and scared them. And that's where we should have gone further. The building inspectors, they go, he's explained to you what their job is. The foundation, they go and inspect the materials, they see what you have done.
Yes.
You see what I'm saying? And if they appropriately inform the mayor at the time, I'm sure the mayor would have taken some action.
Mr. Potter, who in this Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah's Ghana, who pull a gun on an inspector who is doing his job and saying that, no, I will not. Well, who is this person?
Yes,
that's
the question.
What sort of authority does he have in Ghana here?
Yes, to do that.
To be able to pull a gun on a building.
That the mayor was not informed. I work with the mayor 24 hours, 48 hours up to now.
You think this is squarely negligence, right?
Well, negligence is understatement. Because a lot of these things are happening, and you see, in safety, there's something we call pathogens. When you have a 6 inches hole, that 6 inches does not cause, it will not cause any harm to anybody because your foot is 1 foot. Now, add 10 6 inches together. They become how many inches? 60 inches, isn't it?
Yeah.
60 inches is wider than your whole body. So that then becomes a hazard. So you can fall in and you harm yourself. So there are all these pathogens littered all over the place. But sooner or later, they all come together. And this is just a wake-up call, the Melcom one. So really, as a country, we should resource our institutions. I always say that I use National Road Safety Commission because I work closely with them. That they even did this road safety code, road safety code for political parties. What do we see? The politicians who are seeking our mandate to vote for them to protect our life, property, and environment, they put their followers in pickup buckets. Do you see this photograph here? That has been crossed out. All the political parties, they've all signed up to this code. Yet, day in and day out, Stephen, don't you see political parties on their campaign round carrying their followers in pickup buckets? That is safety for you. That's against the law. Yet, what are we doing about it? Nothing. So now, if I see a road crash, if you hear about a road crash with followers of any political party in the pickup, and then the pickup throw them away and we have 30 people dead, what do we do?
I don't know.
Well, you should know. Then we come, the president will cut his electioneering campaign short, the opposition leader would cut his campaign, and we come and lament and wail.
And then after that,
nothing we just
happens.
Push everything under the carpet. This Melcom thing is just a 9-day wonder. I heard the president saying that the culprits are going to be pursued and be punished. I beg to differ. We're in this country, the last 6-7 years to date, we have had calamities and fire outbreaks. Tema Oil Refinery, our only refinery, was gutted down with fire. The Foreign Office was gutted down with fire. Investigations had gone on. Have you, Stephen, you are in the media, have you heard any report that had come out to the public domain for you to know that, oh yes, the investigation has been pursued and we found the culprits and they have been punished? So when the president says this particular one, Melcom, you're going to pursue the culprits and punish them. No. It's just,
you think that's just one of those?
That's one of those things.
No. I think that it cannot continue forever. Because there must be a beginning. We have talked of investigations that have happened before he became president. He's well aware of it, and he's aware of the laws of this country. He's not taking instant action as president. He says, investigate and let's see what we'll do to the culprits.
But should it be the president who will issue directives for these things, these kinds of investigations?
In a nation
what then happens to state
for
institutions?
any national disaster like this, he supervises it. He is the boss of the emergency.
I know. But
so
what
when he goes to the
what
place,
I'm
he must
saying
give
is
some
that
directives.
must he be the one to be giving this directive
Yes, because
now?
all his functionaries, all his appointees operate under him. And if they are not performing well, and he goes there, he must be investigated. For him to say, the axe should fall this way, this should be done this way. Without investigation, you can't take any action.
From safety, let's see actions. I mean, we investigate and then no actions are taken.
No, I'm here. You think that this is absolute, failure on the part of state institutions? You think so?
The state institutions, I mean, I would not want to be judgmental, but you can see that the facts are there.
Even the acquisition of land, was this building supposed to be on that particular land?
You see, planning. You see, all this, I don't want to sound like a pessimist or a doomsday.
But you can say it as it is.
Yeah, say it as in safety. When you say it as it is, people think that you're being something else. Ghana, we don't say things as it is. Because probably when I come to your studio here and I want to say it as it is, next time you will not allow me to come to your studio again. So one have to be very careful. See, so saying it as it is, in safety, you have to say it as it is, but you have to also know how to say it. Okay? The institutions, we just pay lip services to the institutions. We have fine institutions, fine men. We spend time and money to train them. Like Mr. Potofi here, if a state like Togo or Senegal, if they have him, all the experiences that he's acquired, they will pay him loads of money and he'll be a very happy.
You're encouraging him to go away.
Yet, we have all the resources in him, but we don't give him the tools to work.
So we should be resourcing our state institutions.
We make big appointments, but you don't give them tools to work. If you have a lot of scientists in this country, but where are the laboratories for them to go and do research? You have a heart surgeon. If you don't have a theater, where do you go and operate as a surgeon? So we are training our people, giving them all the qualification, the expertise and everything. Yes, we are not giving them the tools to work with. The tools, the resources that we need. But the laws, as I keep saying all the time, fine laws. If you look at our laws, it's even probably sometimes over and above what the British law, who we replicated our laws on. We have even better laws than them. Yet, when it comes to enforcement, we just pay lip service.
Do you think as a lower middle income economy, I mean, we're growing, our country is growing. In the next 10 years, we foresee a lot of activity and incomes going up. Well, I am optimistic. Do you think that in the direction we're heading, we're ready for these high-rising buildings? Recently at the IAA vice presidential debate, one of the political party reps said that they will encourage high-rise buildings to reduce the problem of accommodation. Are we ready for these?
I don't think we are ready for high-rise buildings, simply because of our culture.
Which culture is that?
The way we are, you see, we can't replicate and cut and paste what exists somewhere else and bring it to Ghana. Let's look at the traditional Ghanaian way of life, comparable with let me take a single or a married couple with one child in the UK and compare it with a similar family in Ghana here. A family in the UK has a child and they have a small kitchenette. The style of cooking, he just uses a microwave, he heats up his food within whatever. But if we bring it home to Ghana, our way of cooking alone does not allow us to live on the 20th floor.
You're making reference to pounding fufu.
Pounding fufu and all manners, and our attitude to maintenance, our maintenance culture, the current law on apartments. We do not have even lease agreement properly put together that have in it an embodiment of how to service the communal areas. So who services the roof on the 16th floor when the roof goes? And if there's subsidence on the ground floor, who deals with the subsidence? We haven't captured all of that in our lease agreement that we have here pertaining to properties. So until we resolve those issues, we will not be able to bring the high-rise towers that we have in Malaysia, where you have somebody living at 155 floors, and then the lift works 24/7. The water flashes, the toilet flashes.
Even to the 24th floor, 5th floor, whatever floor.
But now,
everything works.
Can you live on the 50th floor when there's no water? The electricity, when you get caught in the lift, we don't have stable electricity. We don't have stable supply of water and all those things. So until we get to that stage where our sanitation has
improved. And you think we must get there slowly?
Slowly, we have to look, the spatial planners, the architects who are charged with planning the space that we live in, our environment, should look at our environment and manage it well for us. They don't have to just do cut and paste, as most of architects.
But there are a lot of architects coming out of school without jobs. There are a lot of architects who don't have decent jobs.
Stephen, if somebody have the opportunity to come out of university and is saying that he doesn't have a job, Stephen, then probably he didn't go to university.
Why do you say so?
Look, you go to university, you have the opportunity to be educated, to be able to apply your mind to do so many things. And you come out of university and you sit on your oars and you say, I want government to give me employment? Goodness, for crying out loud. Those students out there that are here, they say they have this unemployed graduates association. They should come again. Then probably they didn't go to university. If you go to university, your emotional intelligence is so high that you can apply yourself in doing so many things. Somebody may think, oh, I did archaeology, so I want to be employed by the geological services or whatever. Do you know archaeology? The things that you can do with that background. Yeah. Those who do psychology, the things you can do with psychology. Yet we sit here and everybody is looking up to government to give employment. What happens to private initiatives? I sit here, look, if I lose my job today, which I've been on my own for the last goodness knows how long, over 30 years of my life, I've been on my own. I've survived on my own, doing my own things. I've never relied on government employing me or somebody employing me.
Mr. Potiphar, what do you need? Sorry, I beg your pardon for cutting you, Nana. Our time is running out. Mr. Potiphar, what do you need as a state institution like NADMO to be able to bite and enforce your laws?
Well, thank you very much. I've already told you that we are seeking, or we have the quest to improve our enforcement by going to
and what do you want
our
to
ministry,
enforce in particular?
The new law.
Yes.
So that we can stop people like the Amrahaya project. You know, if you go around the city here, you can see a lot of people exposing us to dangers. They've done a slab on the first floor. And you can see that the beams are in line. They've done a little projection, which has a
cantilever.
name. Yes, the cantilever plate.
Cantilever, yes.
And instead of keeping the blocks, the continuing blocks on the beams, they just come and put it at the edge of the cantilever plate. Yeah. They overload the structure. So any small quake, we are in danger. And it's all over the place.
Those blocks are not load bearing, probably. They are just partitioning. They're not load bearing.
They're just building completely with them.
Okay.
They're heavy. They are not hollow blocks. Yes. Even if they are, you know, because the building has not been structured or designed to carry such load.
Yes.
You know, and that's the danger. So if there's a quake in this city, those are the structures that will give us the biggest challenge. If I go out with you tomorrow, I can mark more than 100 on this stretch. They've done it. You know, so we need to be equipped with the proper tools. Apart from the law, I mean, certainly government cannot provide all the equipment that we need. And under our law, we could requisition from the departments. We could appeal, we could hire, we could rent. Yeah. And that's what is happening in the Melcom case today.
You sound very frustrated that you are unable to go beyond the day-to-day distribution of relief and, you know, sorting out people who are in trouble, give blankets here and there. You're frustrated that you are unable to go beyond that, to have the enforcement powers.
It goes beyond frustration. If you go and see, yesterday, this woman here sells popcorn in front of Melcom, and she chanced to have it trapped with this huge beam over this woman. And she was talking to us. We couldn't reach this woman. We couldn't, we dug around.
And she died?
We reached her this morning. She died. I mean, you find people flooded and you don't have the equipment to rescue them. You see them drowning. Yes. We need to be equipped. Yeah, so that it doesn't frustrate us, but it kills us.
It kills your spirit.
You know, we need that one. Town and country planning people or building inspectors, they will tell you today that if you equip them well and employ the qualified people, they will perform better. If we provide the needed equipment,
they will work to their optimum.
Yeah, they will. You know, so as a nation, we must begin to look at equipping the government departments, strengthening them.
Give them tools to work.
Yes. Apart from the training that we get, we have expert training in this country in many departments. But if they don't have the equipment, if they don't have the tools, you see what I'm saying? Even our farmers, if you don't give them the needed catalysis or you don't plow for them, productivity in terms of agricultural production is low.
Well, we'll take a short break and we'll be right back. Welcome back to PM Express. Mr. Potfair, I'm wondering, you are a leading member of the NDC. You are Director of Elections, right?
Yeah, right.
You could do more.
Vice Chairman.
You could do more, couldn't you, to push through legislations and be sure that you lobby the right people to get the tools you need to work. Your government is in power.
Yes, we have been doing it. I mean, we do a lot. In this regime, just look at the National Fire Service. You see the area of new equipment they have? It's never been like that in this country. And so their performance at this Melcom place was super. If you look at the National Ambulance Service, the National Ambulance, they didn't used to have the ambulances. Now they have ambulances all over the country. They still need more. But for this exercise, the ambulances were lined up, and as we rescue 3, 4, 5 of them, they're on the stretchers, and they are either stopping at Mota or 37 or going to Kolebu or going to police hospitals. You know, that was the kind of thing that we have been doing. Because we are kind of late, you know, we have a back load that we have to clear in terms of the provision of the equipment. That's why it appears like, if you look at the police, I mean, recently, look at the equipment and the armed forces, look at the equipment they are getting. If you look at the Navy, patrolling our waters, there's a lot that is happening under this regime.
Right, I'll give you the last word.
On the contrary,
we need to be bouncing
having fire engines alone, exhibiting fire engines alone,
they mean nothing.
Doesn't mean anything. The fire service, if they are well equipped, should have heat-seeking equipment that will be able to detect where these people are hidden under the rubble. They should have cutting machines that should be able to cut through the rubble. Easily. And that is a well-equipped fire service. Fire service is not only about the fire engines that you see. Ambulances are not only about the ambulances that you see.
I agree. But yesterday, they had cutters. NADGO had it. The fire service had them, the cutters.
Yes.
We had some compressors.
You know, the heat-seeking...
I mean, sometimes, yesterday, whilst we're trying to reach the people buried under the rubble, there was a case where we were using a concrete cutter to cut. And people standing and saying, meaning if you're, this thing that you are using, when are you going to reach them? But we're telling them that if we use heavier compressors, we will expose the people who are trapped to danger. So sometimes people see you using an equipment.
Well, gentlemen, I'm sorry, our time is running out now, and I'll read some messages from our audience so that we can bounce off here. Degraft from Bawe, Accra says, please ask the urban road man to take a look at the road from GBC to Nkrumah Circle. That stretch has developed serious cracks. Please follow up for me. Unfortunately, we didn't get urban roads man here. We could have put that to the geological survey department man on the phone, but He's already off. And hi, Steve. Thanks to you and your panelists there. Accra-Tema motorway has serious manholes killing many all the time. All our leaders want is money from the tolls. This is negligence and Hetzma's role. When was it built? Somebody is asking. The president, upon suspending his campaign all the way from the Upper East to visit victims at the site, showed clearly a strong feeling of patriotism and humility. Well, this is from Joe Banye. And then Isaac Kumasi says, this really exposed the mayor's negligence. And how can anyone pull a gun on an inspector? He should resign for saying the building has no permit. And then from Emmanuel says, sir, construction is ongoing at the former MTN office, so Oxford Street. The building collapsed at the beginning. Now they started building again. The AMA must go there and check the building before what happened at Melcom Achimota happens there. Frontline in hostel in Ayeduase, KNUST is a death trap to the students. Please send your cameras there. And then what happened in the stadium disaster? Joe is asking, and Mr. Moderator, your panelists are not being realistic. The institutions just do not work. If you want a permit first, you will not build. That is from Asante. That seemed to be the situation. If you want a permit first, before you start, I'm afraid you might not finish. I support the man. This investigation will not get anywhere. Let's give it only a week. We'll forget all about it. State institutions are failing, and yet taxpayers' money are being used to pay them every month. The Accra mayor must be forced to resign for allowing a structure without permit to exist in Accra. I can tell you this is not the only building in Accra without permit. Poor work from this mayor. Nana, you're right. Let's give ourselves 2 weeks, and all that has been said about punishment will die out totally. This is from Felix Takradi. And Lawson says, please, Ghanaian developers should engage construction experts and pay them for their services. Thanks very much for your messages. There were a lot more we couldn't read, but they will still be on our Facebook walls. You can access them. And thanks for joining us. Thanks, gentlemen, for your time in the studio. Join us again tomorrow for another edition of PM Express Personality Friday. Good night.